In the second module, we're going to look at the character sketch of Nelson Mandela and some important lines. Nelson Mandela was the tallest of all the black heroes who waged a relentless fight against the racial regime in South Africa. He suffered untold sufferings and tortures in prison, but led the country to install the first democratically elected government in South Africa. He is grateful in acknowledging the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of black heroes for the freedom of their people. He had a wider vision of humanity. For him, freedom was comprehensive and couldn't be divided. Here, we look at the fact that he's a humble person. And then we see that he is acknowledging, he is praising those unimaginable sacrifices of those thousands of black folks who fought for freedom. And his mindset is also very different. For him, freedom is comprehensive and it cannot be divided. Then we see that Nelson Mandela is a great patriot. He loves his country and countrymen. For him, the greatest wealth of South Africa is her people. He has a sacrificing nature. He sacrificed his life of comfort, family, and home and plunged into the struggle for freedom. He believes in equality for all. He opposed the rule of apartheid, for which he was declared an outlaw. He was oppressed and tortured in jail for several years, but he never broke. It shows his character of tolerance, courage, and perseverance. So now we go into the deeper learning about his character and see that he's a great patriot and he loves his country. He's a countryman. Okay, generally it's very rare. Now, if someone says, I'm from India, most of them feel shy to say that they are from India because they either think that USA is greater than India or anything like that. But he is a countryman. He loves his country. And he's a sacrificing person. He's self-sacrificing also. And he is tolerant because even after being oppressed, he still kept fighting. He's courageous and he has a lot of perseverance. In short, Nelson Mandela is dauntless, courageous, self-sacrificing. He was a visionary and has a positive outlook on life. Now let's look at some of the important lines and their meanings. It's in the page 18. Out of the extraordinary experience of a human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. The meaning of this particular line is that extraordinary human disaster that refers to the practice of apartheid. And he says that out of the experience of that practice of apartheid, okay, out of the experience of racism, okay, there should be a society that will be born, and that society should be very proud because they have suffered through something and now they have come out of it. The next line is, I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. It means Mandela considers that his success is just simply the result of all those African patriots who lived before him. He was simply like a sum of all their philosophies and ideologies. And here you can see that he's humble. He doesn't take the credit to himself. It requires such depth of oppression to create such height of character. Here it means deep oppression is required to create or is required to make heightened characters. You must suffer through a level of oppression, and that's when you become bold and of a heightened character. Mandela is speaking out of his 30 years of experience. He had a lot of oppression, but that created a character in him that is so bold. And we looked at his character sketch just a few minutes ago, that he is very much tolerant and he has a lot of perseverance. And here we find that. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So everyone is born with fear. You can't simply say, I'm not born with fear. Everyone is born with fear. But you must face that fear. That is when you become a brave man. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to human than its opposite. Now, its opposite, it means hate. Okay? So he says here If people can learn to hate, they can easily learn how to love because love is more natural. Do not get confused by the fact that he's saying that you must learn to hate. But what he means by that line is, okay, people, you guys learn to hate. But if you can learn to hate, you can learn to love more naturally. Because love is more natural, love is more inborn. The next thing we see is man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. The man's quality of being morally good or virtuous, it can only be hidden. It can it can be hidden behind the bars he creates for himself out of narrow-mindedness. Nevertheless, this flame can never ever be extinguished. Even the most cruel person, take for example even Adolf Hitler, he might also have had goodness, but he just hid it. In the coming module, we'll go through the last 2 pages of this lesson.